I had the Bills in the bucket of death.
I had the Bengals. I mean, Jesus.
It's like I'm wearing a pot on my head.
Stugotz loves winning those games when he's got Brady -3, -3.5, getting a touchdown in overtime. Such bullshit.
Rashad Perryman still in the league?
Unbelievable.
What?
I had to Google to make sure that it was the same one.
Yeah.
It was the only time he was targeted. Threw it 70, went 70 yards downfield.
Why is
He's
that
been
bullshit? Yeah, but why is that bullshit, man? Brady -3. Like, Brady doesn't settle for field goals in overtime.
Oh, but just
he gets
because
tutties.
Josh Allen showed you just enough heart for Tom Brady to break it. Like, I mean, it was such a nice comeback for Josh Allen. And now they recede right back into the middle of, this was a crud day of football, except for some fireworks at the end of the 1 o'clock hour and the end, because the Browns were idiots and the Cowboys were idiots. And then at the end of the day. But do you guys realize that I think it's half the entire league has either 5, 6, or 7 losses? I think it's half of the entire league. And so you have all these games out there that are San Francisco and Cincinnati, and you're like, who's better between these two teams?
I think every team has beaten every team in the league. Like, there's a circle of parity that I saw on Twitter this year. Like, every team has beaten.
It was so hard to follow too, because I was like doing the math. I was like, wait a second, what does that mean?
I don't know if I have this right, but until the last couple of games, until very late, Davis Mills was the one leading the league in passing today.
Come on.
Mike, show us what you got on your phone. Do you have Brian Kelly on your phone? Do you have Brian Kelly dancing on your phone?
I haven't been able to stop looking at it since I saw it posted.
Watch the hip shake. Watch the hip
From the
shake.
music to the dance moves to the fact that he is pushing his 5-star off of the platform. Why did they think this was a good idea?
Dan, I am telling you, that is not the Brian Kelly who was sitting by himself at a table, a dinner table.
No,
that's
it wasn't.
not him. That's not the Brian Kelly I know.
But what is he doing? He is dancing with a finger pointed, which is always good.
How you
And
do it, Dana?
he's got the ass to ass there working, and
lot
he's
of tweaks.
pushing his recruit off the platform with that ass.
Usually slowing things down a little bit makes you look a little less goofy, but I'm not even sure that's working for him here. These are the acts of a desperate man. How old is he? Is this a midlife crisis? What is happening? And also, I know Jess knew this, but I had no idea Brian Kelly was this short.
Jessica, what is going on with your former Notre Dame coach here? You're ashamed because this is the guy.
He's dating a younger woman now. He broke up with you. He sped off in his convertible. He's dating a woman.
No, yes. Hey,
It's not
my problem anymore.
No, but Mike,
he did these embarrassing things at Notre Dame. There are a few very embarrassing videos of him dancing that somehow slipped under the radar. Not my problem anymore.
This is better than the accent thing, though. I can get behind this. If it's going to be stuff like this, I'm all in on Brian
Mike,
Kelly.
you are so right, though. He has been in an unhappy marriage for 14 years, loveless most of it, and the last was sexless. And now he's going out on a hot first date with a cougar from the bayou.
He's 60.
I'm looking at the footwork right now. The footwork is just deeply concerning to me.
Yeah.
Because he's got all the action up top, but the feet remain planted. And then he finally feels vulnerable enough to pick one up and damn near turns the ankle of his prize recruit. It's
that vest.
Am I a Brian Kelly fan now? I may be a Brian Kelly fan now.
Are those lights purple and gold in the nightclub? Are we getting purple and gold lights? Is that what we're getting?
Yeah. Oh, and it's not the nightclub. It's just the Cruton room. This is where they bring the Croots. This is the Cruton room.
He seems like a guy that's surprised. He's like, how did I land one of the best jobs? I mean, I know Notre Dame's one of those jobs too, but he's like, how do I keep getting these jobs? I'm so happy.
Right. He's like, how did I land 2 of these?
I'm just going to start dancing. People must love me. Look at me.
I mean, Dan, that kind of proves your point. He left to make his recruiting job easier. He just waltzed in, got a 5-star because of the proximity towards him. The last week and a half of him embarrassing himself has meant nothing because he's just going to double down and do it some more.
It's LSU.
Thank you, Walker
man.
Howard, for posting this, by the way.
I have to, I know that this was a beautiful night for Tom Brady. He breaks another record, completions. I thought he already had that record. He's got 699 touchdown passes. He always wins, but I need to have the nation be aware of something. He is playing dirty, Stugotz, when he slides and tries to spike people. He is running around, and everyone's talking about how cute it is that the 44-year-old Tom Brady is out there running around and still can move around without like pieces falling rusty, but he is trying to cleat people in the shins and knees. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, but I've noticed it for years. I mean, for decades now. He's always done that. What?
What?
You're objecting to it now? Oh, come on, Mike. You've seen him do
He's
that
always
before.
done that. No,
Mike,
I've never seen him scramble for 12 yards and slide, let alone do it studs up. That is a straight red card in soccer. 2 straight weeks. The next person that he does that to needs to spike him in the calf. He is asking for
He
it.
doesn't generate enough speed to hurt anybody, though.
Exactly. I've seen him do it. Mike, at this stage of his career, though, you would agree he could do whatever the hell he wants, right? I mean, come on.
Clearly.
He's Tom Brady. I mean,
Clearly. Poyer didn't even mind. I would have lost my mind.
Helped
That's
him
a
up.
soccer guy in me. He goes studs up straight into his shin. And because the quarterback rules are such in the NFL, he has no recourse.
Poyer should
By
have
the way,
flopped like a soccer player and just like flailed on the ground for 5 minutes.
I think that was his longest rush ever, by the way, and his career was 12 yards. We just saw it today.
He can still get you that 1 yard, though, when he needs to. I mean,
That's
he
true.
did it again.
That is true. That is so true. So who's more holy shit for you guys today? Is it holy shit the Chiefs or is it holy shit Micah Parsons?
Oh, man.
Oh, man, they're
Jeez,
both
Micah
kind of
Parsons.
holy shit.
Wow.
Probably Micah Parsons because I've seen the Chiefs do this in the past, and it's kind of cool seeing them do it again. But Dan, I kind of feel like everybody in this box had a say to stop the Chiefs when we had the chance. We had them dead to rights, and we let them off the hook.
They were
We
4-4. We were doing interviews where I was asking journalists, are they terrible? Are they a terrible team?
I would say it's the Chiefs, like to me, because even during this 5-game winning streak, we still had questions about the Chiefs and their offense and would it come back. And today it came back and they blew a team out. Like, and if they're going to play defense like this, who's going to beat that team? It's kind of like the Warriors in the NBA. If they're going to give up 100 points a game, who's going to beat them? If the Chiefs are going to play this type of defense, who's going to beat that team?
They've held opponents to single digits for the last 5 games. In the last
Crazy.
3 games, they've averaged 9 points per game.
Well, what is this? Explain this to me. We were asking if they were terrible.
It's a
at
marathon, not a sprint. That's what it is, Dan.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you say that,
Well
Chris,
said.
because now it would appear that the Raiders are indeed not for real. And
Again.
that season, but what a disaster to look at what that season was when you consider that in the middle of it, they lose their coach as a bigot. And then a wide receiver, just a horror, a wide receiver at 150 miles an hour, Henry Ruggs hits a woman in a car and kills her. And here they are, one of those 7 loss teams right in the middle of the league. But it sort of shows you like just what a horrific grind this whole thing is. Mike, you saw the Browns today. The Browns are like crying and crawling and on their hands and knees. And there's just so many teams trying to get to the end of the season. And it's like, you look at what happened to the Raiders, like how much do you want them to endure?
If changing the focus of the Browns a little bit, and the Browns play the Raiders next week in what kind of feels like a playoff elimination game, at least for the Raiders in the AFC North this year, especially, but really all of football. It's just been so many injuries this year, and COVID's rearing its ugly head again. Valuable players are being put on the inactive list. The Browns were out a tight end and a punter due to it. I don't really know what to take from the data of this regular season. I think it's a war of attrition more than any other NFL season, especially with it being the longest NFL season of all time, and you're doing it in the middle of a pandemic. Just survive and be in those crazy 1-game samples at the end.
Jessica, you saw what happened with Urban Meyer. The reports this week that he's feuding with his coaches. Jay Glazer reports that he did indeed call his assistant coaches losers, and that Urban admitted he he admitted that he called his assistant coaches losers. And then after the game today, there was this long-winded question about how terrible his offensive line is and how much they get paid to not be terrible. And he just goes after 16 seconds of blaming everybody but himself, Stugotz. He just goes, yep.
It was honestly well said.
Yeah.
It
Stugotz
explained
is
it. I
strong
was
in
like,
Urban. I mean,
Checkmated him.
I mean, really, who could have seen this coming? No one
Should've
saw this
known.
coming. Everyone
Right.
thought that it was a great hire by the Jaguars. There would be no problems, no character concerns with Urban Meyer. Things would be completely smooth his first season coaching in the NFL. He'd get along with everyone great. He'd win 16 games, take him to the playoffs. Everyone thought it was going to be a great hire. Who could have possibly seen this collapse coming?
Stugotz is still out here trying to argue that Jerry Jones is the greatest in the history of drafting.
tell me he's not. I mean, seriously. No, go ahead. Look at the draft picks over the years and tell me he's not.
I mean,
whether
this
it's
year,
Dak Prescott, whether it's Dan, whether it's Tony Pollard, whether it's CeeDee Lamb, whether it's Micah
Zach Martin.
Parsons. I mean, Zach
whole
Martin,
offensive line.
Jerry Jones, and the
Lyle
Cowboys
Collins.
they have built this team through the draft. I mean, it's crazy. It's insane how well Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have drafted over the last 7 years. It's insane. Go look at the picks.
you say, look,
Jalen
you look
Smith
at,
didn't work out so well.
you
but-
say, well,
Yeah,
he says, look at the picks, but it's 30 years of not doing that. Stugotz, their defense was terrible last year, like truly terrible. Now they fixed it with a couple of draft picks, but their defense, I don't know, like what you've seen happen from the Chiefs this season, where they're terrible the first half of the season at defense, and then they're good at it. The Cowboys were god awful at defense last year, and they fixed it with two draft picks. So much so that in that Washington game, did you guys see the Sims touchdown? It was an unbelievable touchdown. It's the only play Heineke made, but the precision of in that sport where Parsons is in your face, okay, Parsons breaks through, and then you're throwing to a guy who's not open 55 yards away against Diggs, you know, who if Parsons isn't the defensive player of the year, Diggs is the defensive player of the year, and you've got half an inch to make that catch 55 yards away from where the guy threw it, and you just got to get a knee down. Just with half an inch to spare and no opening. There was so much of that today, Stugotz, like just so much of these people throwing to places where only one person could catch it, one person who was covered.
Yeah, you see it every single week. It like Dan, the defenses that are good, they really stand out now because playing defense in the NFL seems to be such like a difficult thing to do with the rules and the precision of the offense. It seems difficult, and that's why like the Chiefs kind of stand out to me from a defensive standpoint, and it's why the Cowboys. And that's the point, Dan. He did it through the draft. 2 draft picks. He fixed the defense that needed to be fixed, and so you got to give them credit because that defense is really good. I mean, they are.
Speaking of the Cowboys, what is Skip Bayless doing on Twitter? Like most people, I can tell what they're going for on Twitter. Does Skip Bayless know that the internet hates him, so he tries to troll, or does he think he's really cool with these pictures that he posts? I just don't know what he's going for with this whole Twitter stuff.
He's 70 years old and he wins forever.
That's
Because-
right.
That's 70?
70,
Yes.
7-0.
He's a young
Okay.
70. I mean,
But I think he posts those and he's like, people think I'm really cool. Or does he kind of get it all that he's like everyone?
Oh,
hates
he's
him?
not. I'm not sure how, Mike. How much do you think he's in on the joke? Because I don't think he's totally in on the joke. I think he's like 20% in on. I don't think he's the majority of him is in on the joke.
He believes what he says. I know that's the case when it comes to his takes anyways, but when it comes to social media engagement, I actually think he's getting some good advice. I think in the past, he's had some videos really work. There was that weird one where he was super frustrated and didn't say anything. Then there was a one where he threw away a jersey and it was
The
revealed.
one with the microwave. The microwave
the
that was like
microwave,
knee
yes.
level. That made no
Yes.
sense.
Yeah.
People
Who has
talked
a
about it for
knee-high
weeks.
microwave
Yeah.
by the
weirdest thing
trash
I've ever
can?
seen.
By the trash can.
He eats
I
the same thing every day. He's eating the same. He is a machine of that, Chris. He's a machine. He rides an exercise bike for 3 hours a day, eats the same broccoli and chicken every day in that microphone that's by his knee, and then comes out and slaughters the world with bad takes just meant to bother you.
or great takes, depending on your vantage point.
or takes that 44% of the people agree with, because you can get anyone to agree with 40% of something. and so he's either a hero or a clown, but all he is forevermore is champ, 70-year-old champ.
I agree, but Mike, I would say at this stage of his career and at 70 years of age, he's more than 20% in on this. Like, I think Skip is in on this.
He's posting like his biceps.
But I think he's in on that. I think he's doing that purposely. Like, I think he's in on this now.
I mean, he looks great.
On social media, I think he's getting good advice and he's playing up to it. But I also think that he previews everything before he sends it off to his social media maven, thinking, "Yeah, I killed that. I absolutely killed that. This isn't going to go the way they think. Everyone's going to come around and say, man, he actually looks really cool." I spent a couple of minutes here while you guys were talking, looking up how did Spagnuolo turn this defense around? Spags has been a head coach in the league and obviously a champion coordinator. He was always considered a good coach. He didn't forget how to be a good defensive coach, but a couple of things in this league. Health is one of those things that you have to pay attention to. And when I look in this Zoom, everybody had a hand in bringing the Chiefs back. That trade for Melvin Ingram put Chris Jones back in a more natural position, gave him a more natural snap distribution, and it gave their pass rush far more effectiveness. Even a better pass rush from the edge gave the D tackles some more room. And now, since week 8, you have a team defense that's second in points per game allowed, first and third down percentage, second in red zone defense. The bend but don't break mentality is working for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're playing complementary football. Their offense is helping their defense by not trying to bomb it 80 yards every time. They're still going to do that. They're the Kansas City Chiefs. They have those weapons.
Well, they did it a couple times on 3rd and 17 today.
Yeah, but the run is finally opening that stuff up more a little bit. Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams, they've proven to be weapons. They're boring at times when you compare it to Kelsey and Hill, but they're effective.
Mike, all those notes are actually really impressive when you know that they're still playing Sorensen. Like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yes. It should be
just find 49.
Yeah,
whoever the quarterback is, find 49, throw it to him.
Tony, what did the metrics say on Diggs? Because Diggs makes big plays, but he allows big plays.
That's the funny thing too, right? And it's a lot of like the Xavier Howard treatment. Like, he's a very good corner that has a nose for the most random thing in sports, or the most random thing in football, which is turnovers, because there's no predictor that's actually going to happen and carry over year over year. I did some digging on PFF, and Trayvon Diggs ranks 79th among 79 qualified corners and has allowed a league-high 17.6 yard per receptions. Like, he's allowing the longest pass plays against him every single time he's in coverage. So he's getting picks, and he's incredible when he's around the ball making plays, but he's getting beat by, who was it, Cam Sims? Like, did anybody know he was on the football team? No.
The football team today, Heineke was Heineke, and I don't believe Ryan Fitzpatrick is being dragged enough for getting his hip injured in an alleged water flume accident, according to a caller on a Washington radio station.
Not a big enough story. I'm telling you, any other quarterback does that, we are making a big deal of it. I mean, to go on a water slide, especially the big bowl, and spin around like that and risk your hip, you can't. The guy with the Harvard, what is he thinking?
I think we're not making a big deal out of it because it's still unsubstantiated, and we're all afraid of getting sued.
There is that.
Dan, can you define what being Heineke is? Because I'm interested. Like, what is that, Taylor Heineke?
Oh,
you're
well,
right.
no, but
what's interested?
What Taylor Heineke is exactly what today birthed with a sample size of 13 games, which is he will keep you around and be gritty and make a couple of great throws, and then you'll get into one of these big games and he'll fart out 130 yards and can't do anything. And on the one pass that the screen pass that Gregory ended up intercepting, do you know how hard it is to get a pass tipped twice on a screen pass? It wasn't Gregory that tipped it twice. It got tipped before it got to Gregory. And so you had two defensive linemen tipping the ball, and Heineke looked every bit Heineke today.
Heineke also found a pair of scissors on the field. Like, this is happening. I think it happened a couple of weeks ago. We're just finding random objects on the field.
It's a strange time, Chris.
Fairly dangerous.
This has to be
a little dangerous.
This has to be trainers cutting tape, does it not? Because Chris, you've been obsessed with this season, and you're absolutely right, Chris. I turned to my wife today. Something happened on the goal line today, and I turned to my wife and I said, "Do you realize that what I'm watching right here, I wouldn't want to put my fingers anywhere near it? Like what these people are doing for a living, I just wouldn't want to have my fingers around it because they would just get lopped off. And you're out here saying, why are there scissors on the field? And it's totally fair.
What are we doing here? Like someone needs to check the field. Little,
He's so right.
Like,
What do you guys? You tell me.
No one bats an eye. It's just like
You-
he
you
just
tell
found a pair
me.
of scissors on the field.
I just love the idea of on a play, you're just watching football one day and you look up at your television and there's been a tackle and Hawkinson's getting up and he's got a pair of scissors in his cheek, in the cheek of his face.
We would
And
think
you're
a
like,
player stabbed him in like a pile or something.
Not dangerous enough.
Jesus.
You know what else is dangerous? Sliding with what is essentially a bunch of scissors at the bottom of your shoe
Yes.
directly at
44.
players' shin.
6 miles an hour.
And not holding them accountable for it. I believe the quarterbacks in that game combined for 130 yards rushing, Chris.
Ooh,
He's going to get to another Super Bowl, man.
he scrambled so many times too. He scrambled like
He really
4
is.
times.
And,
I know,
and
he really is.
I deeply appreciate watching Tom Brady do his thing in the Tampa Bay Bucks because it's getting to be kind of 2015 again in the NFL. Sneaky, because offense really opened up after that. And we saw the vertical passing game for the last few seasons. But defenses have gotten really good at shell coverage. Really good. There's a great example of what the Tampa Bay Bucks do to defeat shell coverage. It was that Mike Evans touchdown catch where Tom Brady puts it the only
it's
place
so
he
ridiculous.
can.
That throw was so ridiculous, Mike. Like you're talking about in Mike Evans, right? If I take any Buffalo defender and those safeties are good, and I tell you, go ahead and stretch the Buffalo defender and see if you could get the stretch that Mike Evans gets. Whatever the difference is between Mike Evans and every Buffalo defender is the place that Tom Brady rolling to his left put the football. Simply impossible to defend. Like it just at any point in human history, no one can defend that.
I like the idea that there are fearless teams, and yeah, Joe Burrow will sometimes turn the ball over, but I think that there's such a thing as a healthy amount of interceptions too. These teams try to dink and dunk it and get a touchdown drive in about 11 and 12 plays. I mean, why not throw an interception?
Oh, get the Broncos out of here. Get the Broncos out of here.
But
Tony,
the Browns are
Get
doing
them
this
out.
too.
relegate them. Get them out of here. The Broncos cannot. We need to mandate or sign one of those petition things. The Broncos cannot be in the playoffs. Like they just
Attaboy,
can't
Dan.
be. Get them. They ruin everything. Get them out of here.
Playoffs, please. They should be. They're always in the 425 window. By the way, every time I look at the slate, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. We got a good team, good game here, good game there. Ooh, Bills, Bucks. Okay, that's good. Oh, sorry, Broncos, Lions, 405 kick. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. I'm just not even. That's a new a snap a nap game for me.
You need
right
that
there.
stinker. You need. Remember, we've talked about this. That 4 o'clock stinker.
Yeah.
You need.
But
it.
I don't want it anymore. Like they are
Yeah,
the
but
most
there's-
boring team.
They're 7-6, man. They're tied for that last playoff spot. They're hanging on there. They're hanging on by a fang. I mean,
Look at how happy it makes two guys. Look at him. Guys,
He just wants to be right.
I just want a turd and floating around in the playoffs.
I kind of like watching them play because at least they do it on the ground, so it's a little different. And when they throw Teddy Bridgewater, although if you look at his average yards per attempt numbers, it's kind of deceptive. I think we're holding a lot against him just because of how his career's gone post knee injury. But I like the way that they approach the game. They have their identity and they have a really good, solid running game. What I don't like is a passes when you need 3rd and 8. The Browns are like elite at this. We're going to draw up a play behind the line of scrimmage. The person that's going to catch it, like our play is Austin Hooper, 6 yards when we need 8, and he's going to fall down immediately as soon as he catches the ball. I hate that. I'd rather run.
They had a 77 play drive for 19 minutes and 37 seconds and got stopped on a 4th and 1.
Yeah, but
Like,
the
just
Lions today though had like 7 guys on the practice squad. They've been decimated by everything. And then they had a guy at wide receiver, Tom Kennedy. And it just
I don't believe you. I think you made that name.
No, and but not only am I not making it up, this is the added bonus. It was just some dude named Tom Kennedy. It wasn't like a football player. It was just a guy. Like they had a guy in a suit named Tom Kennedy running around out there. I will give the Broncos no credit for what they did to the Lions today. None.
That's VP. That's VP of player personnel that suited up for them, right?
It was Tom Kennedy. There he is. Look, that's
No,
what
it's not.
yes,
No,
that's
that's
Tom
not
Kennedy was playing for the Lions today.
That guy's miserable.
You got a shot. I mean, how about that?
That's a graduate assistant.
Yeah,
That is a graduate
Georgia
assistant.
Tech.
Yeah, I don't believe that guy is actually playing football.
Win's a win, Dan. I mean,
Yes, thank you, Stugatz.
You got
Totally
it.
useless.
Yeah.
Jessica, we are remiss and we are late to talking about the greatest controversy in football over the last 5 days, which is Claypool gesticulating and wasting 5 seconds, and the hyper examination in a sport where everyone is killing themselves to be stronger by an inch than the next team. The hyper examination of Claypool wasting 3 seconds and now needing to apologize in front of America.
I saw some of the worst takes that I've seen in my life on Friday and this weekend because of that play. Like, no one was talking except for Stugatz about the offensive lineman for the Vikings slapping the ball out of his hand. But I saw people comparing Chase Claypool to Antonio Bryant and Juju Smith-Schuster, which, first of all, I don't know how, like, what we're even comparing him to, because, like, Juju Smith-Schuster, I think the worst thing he ever did was, like, make a TikTok before a game. So, like, what are we doing here?
Didn't he also do that challenge, the crate challenge, or was that someone else?
Yeah, but like no one even cared about that.
He
The
did
dangerous
milk
crate challenge. The dangerous milk
He
crate
did the milk
challenge.
crate challenge, but he did it right, so he didn't get hurt. So
No,
one,
he
like,
didn't get hurt, but it was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
We're
Like,
gonna
he's
stop
gonna-
having Juju Smith-Schuster apologists. That guy, he does the very awful thing of taunting the opposing team's midfield logo.
Okay, yeah,
And the Raiders
okay.
learned what happens when you do that.
Yes,
today.
you can't do that.
It's
You
such,
can't
it's
do
such
on
a
the bus.
stupid football thing. It's not even a real thing. And then they're comparing Chase Claypool for his like first down point to Antonio Brown, who like that guy has so many problems. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know how you compare the two to each other either. And it was just such a stupid media cycle, because all of this is like taking the focus off of the Steelers' first half, which was terrible, which like there was
Unethical.
the defense was horrendous. The offense was horrendous. They allowed the Vikings to get up by 30 points by halftime and then somehow make a comeback because the Vikings are the worst fourth quarter team.
Okay, hold on. We're not analyzing play-by-play from 5 days
Yeah, what
ago.
is
It's
happening?
Claypool.
Yes,
Stay
we are.
on
You asked me-
Claypool.
Well, it's my
Stay on
point. You asked
Claypool.
me about it. My
Stay
point
on
is that
topic.
it's so much easier to just make fun of Chase Claypool.
I know, but
for
you're
doing
giving
something
play-by-play from a
stupid.
first half from 5 days ago, and we haven't done that for any of the games today. Claypool is the subject of the moment, and Stugatz has an opinion.
No,
Yes,
51
guys.
should be the subject of the moment. 50. I don't know who he is. I don't know his name. I don't care what
A
his
heady
name
play
is.
by
To me,
that
he's
guy.
number 51.
Yeah.
First name
Heady
number,
play.
last name
A heady
51.
play.
It was not a heady play. What he did, trying to be team leader guy and show up his teammate Chase Claypool, who just made a big catch for a first down, by the way. And so he took 3 seconds at a bad time to celebrate that first down, okay? But they still had plenty of time left. And then old number 51 comes strolling by to show up his teammate, and he knocks the ball out of his hand, and he wastes 10 more seconds, 10 to 12 additional seconds, and no one is blaming number 51.
Claypool might
Nobody.
still-
Everyone
Like, no one
blaming
knows who
Claypool.
Trey Turner is because he's a
Who
guard.
cares? Number 51 is who he is, and he deserves everyone's
That's
blame.
who it is.
Claypool
Okay.
would still be here doing this thing though if 51 haven't get over there and been like, "Hey, come on, we gotta move, we gotta move."
He's not even the most famous Trey Turner.
That's true.
It was very stupid on everyone's part, but I feel like it is taking the blame off of the fact that the Steelers have a terrible offensive coordinator who just I have no trust in him.
Oh,
at
please
all.
stop it. Just stop it. I don't want more
You
Steelers
asked me about
analysis
Chase
from you.
Claypool. What do you want me to do? Talk about someone else?
The Steelers are at the bottom of their stinko conference where everything is caught up to the Ravens. It's just Lamar Jackson running around out there. And now
Division
everyone
is
in
fine.
everyone in that division is the same.
Not
Except
anymore.
your stinky Steelers. And if not for those stinky seconds from Claypool, it might be a different thing. But
how
you're in
about the
last
seconds?
place.
I'm
Number
saying it's
51.
not his fault. It's not Claypool. It's not all his fault. Some of it is his fault. He was also benched in the first half for doing something else that was stupid, and like no one's even talking about that. The point isn't all his fault.
Again
The
with the
point was
first
just, like,
half.
a microcosm of all this
That's not it.
stupidity of the Steelers this season. And I honestly, you know what, Dan? I'm over it. I'm over the Steelers. I'm not going to
Jess,
talk
do
about
you-
them anymore.
Jess, do you have a playoff eliminator next week? There's a
Do
couple
I?
of them, and I think you might have a playoff eliminator next
Titans,
week.
I think next week.
Titans.
Yeah, it's at home.
Visiting
though.
the ketchup bottle. Yeah, what is that supposed to mean? I know it's at home, but the Titans are a better team.
Wind out
than
of the
the
west end
Steelers.
zone, Mike. Come on, everyone knows the Steelers have
Wind
home
out of
field
the west end
advantage in
zone.
December.
Mike, what are your thoughts on Urban Meyer? Good God, no, we have analyzed that last place team so much this season.
You
just
asked
because
me about it. What do you
I
want me to
asked you about
do?
Claypool. I did not
That's it.
ask you about the first half from that game. I did not ask you about
It's all
telling me.
connected, Dan.
It's
It's
all
like
connected,
a game.
Dan.
The
Yeah,
first
it's
half
connected.
has to do with the second
It
half.
really is.
The first quarter and the second quarter have to do with
He
the
did
way
get
they had
benched,
to
too,
play
right?
in the fourth quarter.
By the way, those wins out of the West End zone have made you a home underdog, according to our friends at DraftKings. So
Ooh.
maybe
Oh,
they're
what do
taking that
they
into
know?
account, though.
Wow.
Urban Meyer, this is not going to end great for him. And if I had to bet on it, I'd say he's not back next year. I have history with his
Wow.
last two jobs that says he's been known to eject. He's
By
now
his own,
lost.
by his own doing, Mike, by his own choice, or by like Jacksonville saying no, get out
Is
of
this a
here.
Mike
you
Ryan
know?
exclusive?
If I'm just placing a bet, will Urban Meyer
Mhm.
will Urban Meyer be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars next year? How do you guys think that's going?
Well, I have a question in regards to that question, which is that if he leaves the Jaguars and tries to go back to big noon kickoff, are they going to really add a seventh person to that tiny desk? Because I don't
Ooh,
think there's
tiny
room for
desk.
him there anymore.
They're going to
Yeah,
run
you
Leinart
kick
out of there.
They
They're
have-
going back
gonna
to Ohio State when Day leaves.
Leinart,
the Bears.
see you later, Leinart. We got duplicates in Reggie Bush. Get out of here.
I
Big
feel like
noon
they got to get
kickoff.
rid of Stoops.
Yeah.
It's like last
Big-
in, first out, right?
Big noon kickoff will always have room for another white male. All right. Never doubt their ability to make room for another white male. But honestly, it's not going great. The Trevor Lawrence pick, he's kind of because
Skating.
everyone's loves dunking on Urban Meyer, and trust me, I do too. But Trevor Lawrence is skating. This was
Skating.
supposed to be a certified lock of a #1 overall draft pick, one of the best quarterback prospects ever. He's having a bad year. What would you grade that, Stugotz? Like a D plus his rookie season so
I
far?
mean, no, it's got to be an F. No,
Yeah, it's got to be an F. It's
Put it
got,
on the
but,
poll.
But I think everyone gets the put it on the poll. It's a good poll question. But I think everyone, because they're blaming Urban Meyer, he's taking all the attention or all the blame, I guess, away from Trevor Lawrence. I'm not ready to Mike. I'm not ready to do that with Lawrence yet because I want to see him with a real NFL coach.
they
who actually
got
cares
shut
and
out
gives
today.
him
He
the
threw
energy,
four.
you know?
He threw 4 interceptions, and they got
Bad
shut
ones.
out.
I know, but who's he throwing the ball to? Marvin Jones?
Well, their
I
their
mean-
first round running back got hurt in the preseason too, and it's not like they drafted much help on the offensive line.
But
I
James-
feel like it's
James-
just his grade this season just a question mark. 'cause
Just the first round running back that they were having play wide receiver in camp prior to the season.
he didn't get to play
just,
in a game.
I just have
They
no
don't have
evidence.
anyone on their offense.
Robinson is
Well, I
better,
don't-
and they don't give him
yeah.
the ball.
Yeah,
He had
they don't
6
give
carries
another
for four.
benching-
6
another
carries
benching
for
we should
4
talk about.
yards today. 6 carries for 4 yards.
I
He played
doubt
like
that-
65% of the snaps.
Etienne was a great college player. Maybe they were going to do something creative with him over in Jacksonville, but that's not the reason why Trevor Lawrence is having a bad rookie year. I think Urban Meyer's lost 9 games. Had he lost 9 games combined in the last decade of big time college football? I just
No,
think that when the
I don't
going
think
gets
he's
tough,
lost 9 games in total since he was coaching at Utah.
think about the
including
times.
Utah and Ohio State.
Think about the times that Urban Meyer quit. There was other stuff going on, much like this season. There was other stuff going on, and there was adversity, but adversity for those schools. And he packed his stuff up and he left. If I were a betting man, I'd say Urban Meyer's not back next season. Look at him. He's got dead eyes. There's something going on there.
He does
in
have dead
Jacksonville.
eyes. He
He
does.
does.
His
He
eyes are
does.
dead.
Yeah, but Jacksonville will do that to you. I mean, it will do it to anyone. I'm serious. Like, it will kill your eyes. That's what Jacksonville does to you, okay? But if he
Put it on the poll,
Yeah.
Tony, please. Trevor Lawrence, D+ or F, and also, will Jacksonville kill your eyes?
as he messed things up so badly for himself, where if he decided to leave the NFL, because I think if he decided he wanted to go back to college, I think teams would still line up to hire him as their head
yes,
coach.
he will get
I think they would
another.
fire their coach to get him. I do.
He will get another job, okay, but the one at LSU is taken by dancing Brian Kelly.
Oregon's open though. I mean,
No, it isn't.
why? What happened?
Yeah,
Chip
no,
Kelly?
They hired the defensive coordinator.
They
what
would
you
fire
said.
him in a heartbeat for Urban Meyer. I
No,
mean,
and a bunch of former Ducks are writing an angry letter, like Mariota and Herbert, criticizing the program for not
Yeah.
upstanding, for not protecting its history.
Yeah, which meant that they wanted to hire a thoroughly mediocre head coach from Cal. It's a weird thing. All those Ducks were calling Miami a mess. Real mess vibes coming off of that Oregon Duck
A
program.
bunch of
But this is a
quacks.
pro football show.
Mike, you said during the end of that 4:00 window that the Bills were showing you something. I believe is what you said in the text.
Ooh,
and I'm wondering, do you still see that when they lose, or like what you saw was taken away?
No, you know what I saw, Chris Cody? I saw guts and guile. That's what I saw from the Buffalo Bills. I saw Josh Allen become the Josh Allen that I saw last year. And while they were on the losing end of this game, I think that there was something positive to build on with that offense that didn't have a rushing attempt from a true running back until I think the second half.
They did not hand the ball off once in the first half, and they were running just Josh Allen on sweeps.
Yeah. So I think they unlocked
their first handoff was to the up back on a punt, on a fake punt.
Yes, it was Matt Breida.
I would say, would you call the Buffalo Bills probably the biggest disappointment this NFL season so far? This was supposed to be their time, and when they blew out the Chiefs at Arrowhead on Sunday Night Football, it looked like there was no pushback for sure. They were going to start running the AFC East at the very least. And now they're looking up at the New England Patriots as Bill Belichick is taking IG photo shoots with his lover by lighthouses, enjoying every second of it. And I really hope, because I think it's interesting when the Bills are good. I like their fan base, and I like it when the Bills are good. I really hope that they can build on something, because I think they've been the most disappointing team in the NFL this year.
I want to ask you guys this question, though, because if you want to take a look at when we talk about the muddle of 13 games and everyone's got 5 or 6 or 7 losses, and when you talk about the Bills being a disappointment after 17 years of not making the playoffs, and now here they are, and they are 7-6, but look at their point differential, Mike. And I'm not saying that that's the be all end all, but in a league where things are decided by a score so often, Green Bay is again 9-3, and their point differential stinks. They're like plus 21 or something. The Bills have been 100 points better than their opponents this season. They're like 5 teams that can say that. There are only 5 or 6 teams that can say they've been that kind of good against their opponents.
I'm going to come out and say this because I said it last year. I think there is no bigger trash stat in trying to determine who's good in that sport than point differential. Every game is unique. Who you are in September is not who you are come January. I think it's foolish to look at, style points against the Carolina Panthers, who the Bills should be able to trounce.
Who they have next week. And then all of a sudden they're 8-6.
Right. So I'm not going to point to like how badly they beat a team with their third string quarterback right now. I think it's not an indicator. We did this last year with the Cleveland Browns, pointing to their point differential. Every game is unique.
I'm not saying it's a be-all or an absolute. I'm just saying it's helpful in determining in a league where everyone's muddled in the middle. If you tell me that a team is plus 150, I'm going to say that's probably not a 500 team. That's probably a team that I'm going to think of as better than a 500 team.
But Dan, like I think I appreciate you throwing out other variables and playing devil's advocate, but there's no one on this Zoom that is more critical and maybe skeptical of the New England Patriots right now, and their point differential numbers are off the charts.
They're plus 150. The Bills are plus 134, guys. But I'm with Mike on that. Like, I don't pay much attention to that because each week is different in the NFL. Like, you're going to have some blowouts. You're going to get blown out. So I don't pay that much attention to it. But they are plus 134.
It's a small sample. A point differential in any 13-game sample isn't going to matter all that much. All I'm telling you is there are no bad teams with a plus 130. Like, there are no average teams with a plus 130. You're a good football team if 13 games into the season you're plus 130.
Being plus 130, they had a 35-0 win over the Dolphins. They had a 40-0 win over the Texans. And they had a game 45-17 over the Jets, 31-6 over the Saints. So, like, it's not that they're just beating teams that are good. They're beating horrible teams and just running up the score.
You know what we call that in soccer, Dan? Flat track bullies, the Buffalo Bills. And guess what they got next week? a really flat track.
You say flat track bullies, and yet if they get a defensive interference call and turn that last drive into a touchdown instead of a field goal to tie the game, and we'd be talking about them right now as, holy shit, did you see that second half? They'd be the story of today coming back in Tampa on Tom Brady that way. And because Diggs didn't get the call that Evans and Gronk always get, Diggs didn't get the call of some cornerback pawing at him, they had to settle for the field goal, and then they lose. But you can't tell me that a team that goes in there and does that, Mike, you can't tell me that team's not a good football team that would be feared in the playoffs.
I have faith in their talent, and I think they'll figure it out. But there have been weird signs with this Bills offense after the first month of the season, after that win against Kansas City, which is why to the original point, it's why I can't really take stock in point differential, because to me, the Bills have gone through 3 different transformations over the course of the season, and we'll see who they are come January.
Mike, to Dan's point, though, there are 4 teams who are plus 100 in points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those 4 teams are the other 3 are the Patriots, the Patriots, the Buccaneers, and the Cardinals. Like, those are 3 of the best teams in the NFL.
Good teams.
You know? Yeah. The best teams.
Yeah.
And I know that Buffalo is disappointing, and I think that they're confusing, like a lot of teams in the league are confusing. Like, tell me what the Bengals are. Tell me what the Chargers are. Tell me what the 49ers are. When they have Kittle, they beat anybody, but when they don't have Kittle, they're 4-12.
I think we have a pretty good idea of who the Bengals are, right? They're a young team. They may pull off some big results, so they'll probably be in the mix towards the last 2 weeks of the season, but it may be a year too early on the Cincinnati Bengals, right? San Francisco is interesting because that's a team
Mike, they can't win if you have a pass rush, they will lose.
Yeah. That's the Achilles heel. Like, we knew that when they opted for Chase instead of Penei Sewell, like, they went to load up on weapons, and you knew
the right pick, though.
As a Browns fan, I was salivating because, my defensive line is still going to have the advantage on them. I think they need another year to build out that offensive line. San Francisco, though, is really interesting because when they do have George Kittle, there are flashes of that team that was playing in the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think it's getting to the point where he's getting underrated because everyone's so comfortable saying how bad he is, and it's weird because he wins. He missed one throw in the Super Bowl, and now people can't wait to get him out of there. He's not a bad quarterback. You can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's proven it.
He had that throw. He had the throw of the day today. That back shoulder throw in overtime. That was nasty.
You can win with Jimmy Garoppolo if George Kittle is out there targeted 20 times for 150 yards. And also,
needs their best weapon, right? I mean, we could say that about a lot of guys.
Yep.
That is something you can say. And in keeping with the what the hell is a team, Chris Cody points out in the chat that the Colts are plus 88 this season, 5th highest in the NFL. I happen to think the Colts are good. I happen to think that one of those, and not because of the plus 85, it's because they started 0-3. I thought their season was done. And then they ran a little bit of a gauntlet on the road and stuff. And I think the Colts are a good team. They just happen to be a good team that's right in the middle with all this other crud in the league.
Yeah,
they're a playoff team. They're the 6th seed right now, the Colts.
Well, the Colts have a primetime game Saturday night against the New England Patriots, and we're going to find out who's who on that game on Saturday night. Yeah, it's a
who's who game, Mike. You're calling it already. A who's
who game.
Wait, Mike.
It's
Mike, you want football porn prime time? This Thursday, you got Chargers Chiefs. I mean, have fun with that.
Put the kids to bed.
Put the kids to bed?
Put the kids to bed.
Put the kids to bed game. Chris Herbert, the last couple of weeks, the throw that Herbert made today, you guys give me a better throw because you guys said you thought you had the best. You think the Garoppolo throw was better than the Herbert throw? Because Chris just said that a second ago, but it was not as good as the Herbert throw.
You can't see all the throws, right? We try to watch football. I did not see that throw.
You're a Chargers fan. You should have seen that throw. He threw it from his own 35-yard line.
I've been jinxing them, so I'm trying to avoid watching. You know how I do it.
Okay, Herbert had the best throw.
All right.
Yeah, it was better than the Garoppolo throw. I mean, that was a bit of a flat track for Herbert, and he was just having fun out there. He was just playing against Mike Lennon and his neck.
We're having fun here.
We like that.
But Herbert's throw at his own 35 on the money down the field in the seams. Who was that? Who did he find too? He did that today without Guyton. He did that today without Keenan Allen. So Thursday night should be fun.
Show that throw again so that everybody can see it. I don't think that there was a better throw this year.
Maybe don't show that throw again.
Just show me his hair again. I mean,
so maybe don't do that.
It's an audio medium.
just
Don't
the hair.
show
that's right.
It was a great throw. It was the throw.
It was, yes, it was.
I mean, I credited a high schooler for the Brian Kelly dancing video, and I felt like I was tempting fate.
Mike, you're bitter and you're sour because your Browns, as they've grinded here to 7-6, middle of the division, a game to save their season, really. Myles Garrett is unblockable, creates a strip sack, and then returns it himself for a touchdown. It's a lot of fun to watch him against Lamar Jackson. And at the end of that game, the Browns were dreadful.
As uninspiring a season-saving win against a hated division rival who are the division leaders as you can possibly have. And yet, everything broke right for the Browns in the bye week leading up to that, in the Thursday night football game leading up to that, and the games that followed. No thanks to Robbie Gould. The Browns are in good position, and it's really troubling because Baker wasn't bad today. He threw an interception, and it looked like, honestly, that one was not to excuse Baker Mayfield. I've been hard on him enough this season, but it looked like Jarvis Landry was just in the wrong spot there. The running game, I think, is more concerning to me than the passing game for Cleveland. That was head and shoulders the best rushing attack in the NFL. And right now, according to advanced metrics and expected points added via rush, Baker Mayfield is the most effective runner that the Cleveland Browns have right now. And I know that they were missing Kareem Hunt in that second half. They were down the right tackle.
That's just football ravaging. That's just football, like locusts through a cornfield. All that is that ravaging all the physicality of a 13 games I've had to play. And you legitimately go that when Chubb and Hunt are fresh, we've got the best running attack in the league. And a month into the season, our quarterback has been spiked into the ground like a javelin, and he's injured. And both of our running backs are in and out of the lineup. And football really sucks, and it hurts. And I don't know at the end of the game against the Bengals whether Kittle was hurt in the game or just football. It fucking hurts, man. It just hurts.
Yeah, it's not sexy when you look at injuries for the second and third string tight ends, but the Browns run 12 and 13 personnel more than anybody in the entire NFL. And when you don't have the ability to put two tight ends out there because you don't have two tight ends healthy, you have to change what you do. And you're trusting a right tackle more when you should be trusting them less. And it's turned out that it's not a good rushing attack for the Cleveland Browns right now.
Guys, I need to do something here, and I'd like to get some final football thoughts, but Jessica's brain is fried. It's a fried egg, okay? She has been furious and nauseated today by what happened in F1, and I think what we should do is just end this with her telling us everything she thinks about F1. No F1 minute. I think we should just have the thing end today with her just talking as much as she'd like about F1. But before we do that, does anyone else have any football thoughts that they want to get out there? Things that they saw today that they thought were interesting.
I want to put a little feeler out there, okay? After what we just saw with the Buccaneers. Just a little something to put in the back of your mind to register.
Think about.
Open up the cabinet, put it all the way in the back for later. Okay, later use.
Ponder.
There's a scene being set right now, guys.
Just say what you're gonna say.
I'm saying
for the love of God, man.
I'm seeing shades of 2001. Okay, a high flying offense, a team that's gritty, good defensively. I'm saying Bucks, Pats, Super Bowl, Pats win.
Wow.
Just put that in the back of your mind.
It'd be the biggest game of all time. All right, this is how you deliver one of those end of show notes. Bill Burr punts for the Texans.
I saw that.
What?
I saw that. Yes.
What?
Yes, there are any number of guys in the league. It's shocking when they take their helmet off. I don't believe any of you would recognize Trevor Siemian if he came in and kissed you right on the mouth if he wasn't wearing a helmet. I'm going to say most of you wouldn't recognize Heineke either. I'm guessing I could even possibly get you to not be able to recognize in a store Justin Jefferson because these guys are all behind face masks. Maybe. I'm pushing it on that one.
Honestly, you're pushing it with the green lizard.
Yeah.
You think so?
I love the green lizard.
Yeah.
T's and P's, though. I know he left hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I am saying that there are not very many people in that league that can get past the face mask that covers their face. They're all disposable parts. They all get changed and exchanged. And at the end of the season, Tom, what was his name? Tom Kennedy. Tom Kennedy is playing for the 1-11-1
TK.
Detroit Lions.
Yeah. In between selling people life insurance.
1-11-1 Detroit Lions, who were only mathematically eliminated from the playoffs today. Today was when they were eliminated. Jessica, close us out. Give us everything you got on F1 because it was total insanity. And your sport is new enough, evidently, that they just make up rules as they go to decide championships.
Dan, we thought going into today's race that either Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton was going to win. But it turns out, Dan, that the real winner was Netflix. Drive to Survive was the winner today because this was the craziest ending to any F1 season that I have ever seen in my 9 months of being an F1 fan. And let me tell you, Dan, people are wondering, maybe not me specifically, but maybe also me, why do rules exist? Why do we have a rule book? Why does the FIA reference the handbook sometimes and then make up their own rules at other times? Some would argue that without rules, we live in a lawless society. We live in a world where people could just do whatever they want all the time. There'd be no rules. You could literally just wake up one day and decide, guess what, world? There's nothing telling me what I have to do today. I'm going to go do whatever I want. There's no integrity. There's no fairness because there are no rules. And that's why I'm calling to you today, dear listeners. Where did everyone go? What